Breaking news just this morning, a deadly shooting at an elementary school in the capital of Serbia.
To Serbia.
Serbia's capital, Belgrade.
At least 9 people are dead.
Imagine a small town in Serbia where a teenager's secret kill list sends shockwaves through the community. Today's case unravels the chilling plot of a teenager who crafted a sinister plan targeting a school in Serbia. But there's more to the story, so hang on. Stick around till the end to find out why this kill list is such a big deal and what's being done to keep everyone safe. Imagine a town filled with worry because of a hidden threat lurking around. The story gets more intense from here. Before being caught in the schoolyard, the teenager shot fire at a school in the capital of Serbia on May 3rd, killing 8 students and a school guard, according to the police. A teacher was admitted to the hospital with 6 other kids. A father of one of the students at the school in central Belgrade reported that the shooter went into his child's classroom, firing at her teacher and then her classmates as they got under their desks. A local official reported that most of the students managed to escape through the back door. On Wednesday night, a short distance from the school in Belgrade's Flower Square saw the vigil. The vice principal of the school called the police, informing them that a child had entered the campus with a gun and was shooting randomly, according to the police chief. KK proceeded to unload a gun in the schoolyard and made his phone call. Kecmanovic called duty officers and stated he was a psychopath who needs to calm down, according to the police. The attacker, who the police knew by his initials KK, was a 2009 graduate of the Vladislav Ribnikar School. They claimed he fired his father's gun. When police took the suspect, who had his head covered, and led him to a car, the local media footage captured an incident. The area surrounding Vladislav Ribnikar, which is a primary school with children aged 6 to 15, was sealed off by police. After that, officers carried the dead bodies to a waiting van. The French Foreign Ministry said in a press release that it was trying to provide everything they could to the family, and that one of the people killed was a French girl. In Serbia and the larger Balkan region, shooting sprees are very rare. None have been reported at schools in the past few years. A veteran of the Balkan War killed 13 people in a town in central Serbia in 2013 in the most recent mass shooting. According to research, there were 125 firearm-related killings in Serbia between 2015 and 2019. According to the Institute's analysis, one person under the age of 18 died in a gun killing during that time, while 5 people between the ages of 14 and 17 attempted shootings with guns in Serbia. But since the 1990s clashes, experts have warned many times about the threat caused by the large number of arms in this country. They also pointed out that these kinds of events could be sparked by decades of chaos brought on by the conflicts and continued financial crisis. The incident was reported to the police at about 8:40 a.m. on the first day of classes back after a long weekend due to the May 1st holiday. I could hear the gunfire. When gunfire broke out somewhere in the building, a student in a sports class stated it was nonstop. Her mother requested that her name not be released because of her age. I had no idea what was going on. We were getting some texts on the phone. The suspect was described by the student as a quiet guy with good grades. He was not always that frank. This wasn't what I was expecting to happen, she remarked. She recalled hearing noises and at first thinking that some boys and children were setting off firecrackers for fun. However, as she heard the noise becoming closer, she saw the security guard fall to the ground and she quickly fled. A student witnessed the kids running out of the school, screaming. Parents rushed in, looking very worried. Later, 3 shots were heard. He informed the Serbian state broadcaster RTS. The majority of the students were taken away from the school through the rear entrance, according to Milan Nedeljkovic, the mayor of the Vrakar region of Belgrade where the attack took place. According to Milan Milosevic, who informed N1 television that his child was in a history class when the incident took place, he hurried out as soon as he heard what had happened. At first, no one could answer my question about the whereabouts of my child, he stated. After that, she called and we found she was out. He remarked, "We have surveillance footage, but this is a lesson. We also need metal detectors. Such an event happening in Belgrade is a terrible tragedy, a tragedy like this at an elementary school. According to Liljana Radicevic, who spoke to the Associated Press, the shooting also claimed the life of her granddaughter. When the attacker shot the school guard, Anna was close to the entrance. And then he fired at my Anna, Radicevic claimed. I knew it was over as soon as she didn't answer. Radicevic withheld Anna's age and complete name. According to Nedeljkovic, the school security guard's choice to put himself in danger likely saved more lives. Nedeljkovic told media outside the school that he wanted to stop this tragedy and was the first victim. 3 students and the teacher had been treated, according to Milika Sanin, the director of Belgrade's University Hospital. One patient was revived, he said. He had injuries on his neck and chest. One student got shot in the stomach, one in the left leg and one in each arm. The teacher has 2 hand injuries along with a stomach injury. The health minister stated that one student who was still in unstable condition was undergoing surgery for a major head injury at a children's hospital in Tershova, where 3 other pupils were receiving treatment. The school, which serves about 1,100 children, is tucked away behind rows of grand houses and leafy streets in the well-off area of Rakar, just a mile from downtown Belgrade. The shooting disturbed the area's usual peace. Hoping for news or assurance that their kids were not among the victims, people fled their houses as sirens and warning lights from ambulances and police cars hit through the quiet spring morning. The top official of the Belgrade police, Veselin Milic, stated that the attacker was well prepared, carrying a pair of guns and 2 patrol bombs. He said at a press meeting he even had names of the kids he wanted to kill in their classes. Also, Milic showed a list that he claimed had been found at the suspect's place. He said that it had a detailed layout of the school with defined entrances and exits. The sketch resembles something found in a video game or a horror film, showing detailed planning, class by class, about whom to target for killing, said Veselin Milic, Belgrade's chief police officer. A citizen of Belgrade, Jovan Lazovic, expressed his lack of surprise, stating, "Given what's going on in the world and here, it was only a matter of days when something like this was possible." The cops were looking to reasons for themselves. The Ministry of the Interior confirmed all the authorities are actively involved and working hard to find out every detail and event leading to this tragedy. This is one of the most difficult times in the recent past of our country, Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić said in a statement to the public after the incident. According to Milic, the child was carrying 4 Molotov cocktails along with a bag holding a 9mm and a small caliber handgun. It was not clear how many shots were fired or if he shot anyone named on his list. The Associated Press was informed by the Belgrade prosecutor's office that the suspect cannot be charged with a crime because he's under 14. According to the AP, social services will decide what happens to him. Guns were licensed and placed in a safe, according to Interior Minister Bratislav Gašić, but the teenage boy who had visited shooting ranges seemed to know the code. The father was placed under arrest for up to 48 hours, according to the prosecutor's office, on suspicion of committing a crime of serious offense against general security. In the hours after the attack, parents' cries could be heard on the streets near the school. After the incident, students who ran away in fear took shelter on the grounds of a company near the school. Njegoseva Street was shut down after the gunfire. Later reports stated that the boys and the teacher's conditions were stable. Despite urgent surgery and intense treatment, the seriously injured girl, Angelina Achimovic, passed away on May 15th from her wounds, making her the 9th victim of the attack. On June 20th, the child with a spine injury had surgery in Chicago, Illinois, in the United States. According to Mr. Vučić, the suspect had gotten along well with the guard, whom one parent called a great guy and a man who loved kids. President Aleksandar Vučić promised to increase checks on gun ownership in Serbia, a country that has seen multiple horrific shootings in the last 10 years. In 2013, 14 people were killed in the central town of Velika Ivanka by Ljubiša Bogdanović in the most fatal event to occur in Serbia since then. On July 27, 2007, Nikola Radosavljević shot 9 people and injured 5 in the eastern town of Jabukovac. In 2015, Sinisa Zlatic used an assault weapon to kill 5 people at a cafe in the northern town of Zitis after Raid Sefer had murdered 6 guests at his son's wedding in Senta. All of those attackers were adults. Former student Luka Babic criticized the culture of violence at Vladislav Rybnikar. Neither the school nor its teachers are to blame. A society that encourages violence is tragic, according to Babic. We live in a violent society where violence is encouraged in the media, in public spaces, and on social media. Since then, Serbian President Alexander Vučić has declared the country's disarmament. As part of several new initiatives announced on Friday, he stated that every one of the hundreds of thousands of legally owning firearms will undergo an inspection, by the end of which there will be just 30,000 to 40,000 arms owners. He also said that there will be 1,000 police officers stationed in schools and that the fines for possessing an illegal firearm will nearly quadruple. According to Kordic, none of the announced steps included a program ban for violent shows. Vučić declared a ban on the grant of new gun licenses except for hunting permits, the revision of current permits, the supervision of shooting ranges, and the storage of guns by citizens as Serbia prepared itself for a 3-day national mourning period. The attacker will be sent to a mental health center, Vučić informed reporters, adding that his parents had also been taken into custody. The shooter turned himself into the police and is under Serbia's legal age of criminal responsibility at 13. He had been waiting for this day. 3 times he and his father went to the shooting range, Vučić stated. He stated the teenager was asking to be placed in a different class where he had 3 friends. Irina Borovic, the father's lawyer, claims that after the military medical academy gave him a drug test, it was discovered that he had not used psychotic drugs. After an unusual school inspection on June 1st, the government announced that there was no bullying at the school involving the student shooter. The assailant is under constant police observation, according to the Ministry of Internal Affairs, and there is no chance that he will be able to run away from the clinic. When the shooter's nanny was questioned by the authorities on May 29th, she revealed to them every detail of his childhood and habits. 5 people were investigated by the police, including family members and those who had or should have had close ties with the attacker. The police also spoke to the psychologist and the school's teacher. Suspecting the mother to be guilty of child neglect, the prosecutor's office started collecting evidence against her on May 22nd. The mother gave a thorough description of the teenager's childhood, physical health, relationships with friends, and social life during the trial. The mother claimed that except for his lazy attitude throughout breakfast and while getting ready, she wasn't aware of anything unusual in her son on the day of the shooting. She went on to say that she left her son at home to get ready and dropped off her daughter at school. It was about an hour later when the mother learned of the school shooting. She initially told the police she thought her son had been hurt in the event, and that's why she hurried to the school, where she later found out the truth. The shooter said that a trainer at the shooting range introduced him to firearms rather than his father. He learned how to shoot, load a gun, and change bullets from his father. Also, he mentioned that his father loved how he shoots accurately. Vučić suggests lowering the age to 12 years old compared to the current law on juvenile offenders, which says that teenagers must be at least 14 years old to be tried criminally. He defended his suggestion by saying that children have grown into adults earlier in this new era, and that the government should take solid legal advice and international laws with it before adopting his suggestion. Vučić continued, saying that authorities questioned that this boy knew he wasn't going to be arrested. He also suggested making anti-drug tests in schools necessary every 6 months and said that steps will be made by the government to increase the number of police officers in classrooms. The shock that many felt was raised by the rarity of such attacks. Officials and TV critics stated over and over that it was the kind of thing they would expect to read about somewhere else, especially in the US. Protests and strikes were called by Serbian teachers' unions to draw attention to the dire state of the school system and to demand changes. Instead of pointing the finger at the country's severe social crisis, several officials chose to blame Western influence. Officials announced they were opening a helpline to support people in dealing with the tragedy. Blood donors for the injured victims came in hundreds. 3 days of grief started in the Balkan country. Students from all across the city poured onto the streets surrounding the school in the heart of Belgrade. People assembled outside the school after dark to pay tribute to the victims. Thousands had already gathered to remember the 8 kids in the school guard by laying flowers, lighting candles, and leaving gifts. Standing in front of tons of flowers, tiny teddy bears, and soccer balls, people grieved and hugged outside the school. A girl's ballet shoes were hanging from the school gate, and there were notes of grief hung beside a gray and pink toy elephant. The country of the Balkans had found it difficult to accept what happened. We've uncovered the disturbing reality of a shooting plan crafted by a teenager, shedding a light on the pressing need for mental health support and preventive measures within educational institutions. Understanding these cases helps us protect our towns and schools. That's all for now. Stay safe, stay aware. Thanks for joining, and take care.